My wife and I stayed over Thursday night with our 2 kids who are 3 and 0. Other people there were my FIL and SIL. This will matter later, but I suffer from ADHD and bipolar type 2. My 3-year-old has a long and complicated medical history, and it was the first time he was not sleeping in a crib. I was in one room with him, and my wife was in the other. He woke up a couple times throughout that night throwing up, and my wife and I disagreed with each other on who should help him. She wanted to lay with him in his toddler bed, but I wanted her to leave because he had been doing well with just me for earlier wake-ups that evening. Anyway, long story short, we disagreed, and she ended up hitting me with a towel across the face. She contends she was simply throwing it at me in anger, but I stand by it being a full-force whip across the face. My 3-year-old was there and saw it, which made it worse for me. I feel really guilty even thinking this way, and I'm worried I'm overreacting, but at least from what I've read and seen, and physical involvement in an argument is domestic abuse/violence. It is at least one of my boundaries, and one that has been slowly pushed over our 4 years, starting with locking me out of the house, ripping clothes/bedding off of me, physically blocking me, etc. For context, I am 6 feet tall, and she is 5'3". So those things are super little, and I never got hurt or anything, but it is just a boundary for me. I've never ever dreamed of doing those things, and frankly if I did that to her I'd expect her to just divorce my ass. Anyway, in that moment I snapped. I started packing up all of our stuff so that we could drive home, a 4-hour drive. At that point it was just 5 in the morning and I woke up her family. I admit that I was closing doors loud, generally just making a lot more noise than usual. I was so pissed about what happened. Her mother came to talk to me right away, basically saying, "I don't blame you. I see the way she treats you," etc. My Emile did say weird things later that day, but more on that later. At that point I was openly saying in front of the family, "Fuck you. How dare you hit me," while I was packing the car. My wife was unapologetic. Also, her sister and dad literally stood there the entire time watching but said nothing. I texted my wife some nasty things during that too. Called her a fucking abuser and admit you're a fucking abuser and a piece of shit, etc. I'm not proud of that, and Kay shouldn't have said those things. Again, super mad that she hit me. We left the house, and as we were leaving I texted her family telling them that as far as I was concerned, her sister and dad were complicit because they watched and said literally nothing. I honestly don't know if I was right to say that. We drive home 4 hours, etc. My wife sat in the back and we didn't speak a word the entire time. That whole time she was texting her friends, sister, etc. about the situation. Her FIL texted me during the trip too, basically saying he wasn't going to talk to me about it until a couple days later, but he didn't acknowledge anything about the situation. We got home and she told me to leave, but I wanted to stay to help with the sick kids, so I just went into an upstairs and parented when I was able to help and not be around her. I ended up calling my own mom, which was comforting. Obviously, she is super biased, but she affirmed me that it was indeed domestic violence/abuse and it wasn't okay. I told my mom that I texted my wife really mean things afterwards, and she didn't like that I did that, but I'm saying it here because I know arguments are a two-way street and that was in the wrong. Maybe I pushed her buttons too much because I didn't listen to her and I made her too upset, so that is why she lashed out. That's an internal thought that came to me, didn't talk about that with my mom. She called her friends and basically put one of them on FaceTime for her friend to tell me I've been through actual real abuse and what she did wasn't abuse. She was talking to and calling so many people. I ended up asking her mom if she could call me because she was the only other person I could think of that might be able to help in the situation. So anyway, Emile and I talked about it and agreed that we need counseling, that this isn't okay in front of our kids, etc., and I totally agreed with everything she was saying. Emile agreed with me that it was domestic/physical abuse and it wasn't okay. We hung up. This is where it got super weird. Emile called me back. Apparently my SIL got a screenshot of the mean texts I sent my wife after what happened, and she showed them to my Emile. So, she called me back and was way more aggressive, basically saying, "Do you want us to send your mom these screenshots? Send them to your mom and screenshot it so we know you did." To which I responded that this contradicting everything we just were talking about, and she said, "You were begging me to call you." Later that evening, last night, I went through and found all of the examples of the escalating pattern of abuse, the lockouts, ripping clothes and bedding off of me, physically intimidating me/blocking doorways, etc. I sent them all in a text to my wife, my SIL, and my Emile. Haven't heard anything back from them since. I did speak with my wife, and I told her that physicality was never ever okay with me. Her response was basically that I was having a bipolar episode and that I shouldn't have texted those things, which I agree with. And maybe my bipolar made me feel more strongly about what happened, I don't know. But I feel very strongly that my own mental health challenges can't be blamed for what happened. Apparently, she told the rest of her family that too, and they told her they were concerned about me. But my wife and I did tell each other we love each other and that we will get counseling and work through this, which was nice to hear. I'm upset with my wife, but she is able to come to the table and talk to me, agree to get counseling, etc., and I love her, so I just think we have to talk through it. I'm pissed at Sil for talking behind my back despite us being friends, and despite her saying absolutely nothing when it happened, or saying anything at all to me that day. Sil texted me basically saying you could have just said sorry that we have to leave this way and left. If you respond to this text, I'm blocking you. But I did respond and I said I'm not okay with you saying nothing to me about this all day even though you were with your sister. She probably blocked me, but whatever. I'm pissed at Emile for that weird request she had last second despite knowing what happened. I'm pissed at Efile for doing absolutely nothing at all. Anyway, I have no idea what to do now and I'm worried that I'm in the wrong here and I overreacted. Ada,